now we're going to be starting printing according to a certain size. Right now, if I click on model space, okay, of my kitchen, I have I zoomed in. I have this floor plan, the kitchen floor plan that you have. Just one of the things that I want to talk about is that make sure that you have your hatching. So if you click on your hatching, okay, you should actually have associative turned on, not annotative, because if you turned annotative on, we're not using annotation in this class. This is actually not going to be showing in the printing. So make sure that you have associative here. Or if it's not turned on, you can basically right click and you can go to hatch edit. And from hatch edit, you can make sure that the options here is associative. It's not annotative, okay? And this is for everything that you have that does have hatching. All of the hatching should be associative, not annotative. So now the first thing that I want to print is the floor plan. And what we will do is that we're going to print the kitchen floor plan on its own sheet, the kitchen RCP on another sheet, and then we're going to see if the elevations, I only have one elevation here, but I added two so you can see how we're going to be adding the elevation on their own sheet. And if you want, or if you do have a space for the section and elevations can all be printed on one sheet, or we can dedicate an individual sheet for the section. Okay, so kitchen floor plan does have its own, kitchen RCP has its own sheet, and then we have the elevations all set in one sheet, and then the section can be added in its own sheet as well. So I'm going to go back to layout, and when I click on layout here, I need to bring in the, how am I going to bring the floor plan of the kitchen? Well, we're going to be creating a window that oversees the model space. And we're going to be using a command called VPORTs. Okay, so once you click on, once you type VPORTs, or view, V stands for viewport, and we're going to click on enter. Now, once you click on enter, this is basically the view that we have, that we're going to have of on the screen or on the model screen. What we want to click or to select now is single. In the subsequent course for AutoCAD, you're going to probably use some of those if you want to. But for now, we're going to be using single, and I'm going to click OK. And once I click OK, I have the cursor asking me to specify the first corner. So the viewport actually works exactly as a rectangle command, is that you specify a corner point, and then you drag diagonally, and then you specify another corner point, and then click. Now, what happened here is that we opened a window to model view, because once I click to select the first point and then drag and select the second point and then click, now I have a view that is of the model view. So that's my model view, and in layout, that's my my view of the model, which is excellent. Now, so we have them all, but we actually want to print only this. So what to do? Well, the first thing is we need to set the right scale. So right now, if I click on that box for the viewport, okay, once I click on it, here comes a scale that belongs to that selected viewport. You're going to see that these numbers are not going to be displayed except when you have a viewport created, and then those, and then when you click on it and highlight the borders in blue, as you can see now, if you click here, okay, you're going to see that you have a lot of scales. And the scale that we want actually to print the floor plan according to is 1 to 20. I know that you might have a different number again in the assignment requirement, but again, we're working on changing what's in the sheet. So most important thing is that we print this according to a good size that will enable us to see most of the details that we have in the kitchen. So I'm going to click on 1 to 20 because this is what we're going to be printing at. And as you can see, we see that there is the floor plan is basically zoomed in more. So now we want to, but we still cannot see the floor plan exactly where it should be, which is in the middle of this viewport. So what will we do is that we're going to double click with the left mouse button inside of the viewport rectangle that we created. So I just double click inside of here. And once you double click, you're going to have a tool set that is going to enable you to navigate and get the view or get the floor plan where it should be. Now, I just want to say something is that if you zoomed in and out like this with the middle mouse wheel, notice what happens here. The viewport scale is going to change. So this means that under any condition, we cannot zoom in or zoom out because this is going to change the scale that we have just set, okay, for the viewport. And I'm going to show you how to avoid doing something like this accidentally, because sometimes out of habit, because you're using this all the time in model spaces, that you're zooming in and out all the time. So this means that you're probably going to change the scale. So we can actually control this by locking the viewport. So what I will do for now is that I'm going to click here again, okay, and I'm going to select 1 to 20, all right? And instead of zooming, I'm just going to click here on the pan, and I'm going to pan the view. Now, if you don't have that menu on the side displayed, and you only need the pan, because again, you're not zooming at all, otherwise you're changing that scale. I'm going to type here pan, just in case you don't have that, and it's pan, it's not 3D pan, because AutoCAD uses 3D as well, so, but it is pan, or you can use this icon here. So I'm going to use pan, and then I'm going to pan the view. Okay, now I want to make sure that when I pan the view, all the dimensions are going to be included, all right? And once you have that, otherwise you're going to go back to model view, and then you're going to move the dimensions a little bit down or a little bit to the right side so they can fit. Okay, I'm also going to show you another way we can expand a little bit the rectangle of the viewport so it can display more of our drawing. Okay, so right now, if this is actually where I want it to be, so I'm trying to include my dimension here and to include the kitchen floor plan. So if it's this actually the label I did here, I did it using a text because I knew that I will be printing this to 1 to 20, so that's why I added this one to 20. Now, once we are actually finished and we're fine, we're happy with where the floor plan is on the screen. What I will do is that I'm going to right click with my mouse and click exit. Now I'm still inside of the viewport. So what shall I do? What will I do to move away from the viewport? Is that I'm going to double click in the gray area here. And once I double click, I'm out of the viewport. Now the viewport, if I click here, that's the viewport boundaries. And again, just to want to make sure that I'm using 1 to 20 scale, okay, I can actually lock the viewport. So when I lock the viewport, this means that no matter what I do, so maybe if I double click inside and then I try to zoom in and zoom out, as you can see, I'm not actually zooming in and out inside of the viewport, although I am inside of the viewport, but I'm actually zooming in the whole sheet. Okay, this is because I locked the viewport scale. All right. So let me see also, I just need to unlock it for a second, and then I'm going to click again outside, and I'm gonna try to make the viewport a little bit larger, because as you can see now, um, this is, very tight. If you want to make it larger, all you have to do is that click on the viewport boundary, okay, and just click on those uh, nodes like this, and then click again here, and you can expand this on the side if you want to. And I'm doing this without turning on ortho or object snap, because it might actually make it a little bit harder for you um, to maneuver. But this is how you can expand the viewport a little bit than what you had before. But again, just if you found that you have some dimensions that are beyond the viewport, we're just missing, what I will do is that I'm going to double click out. I'm just going to right click here. I'm going to click on escape on my keyboard to get out of the viewport scaling. And then if I need to do anything regarding the dimensions, I need to move them, I need to readjust the space between them, I'm going to go to model view, and I'm going to do that. So anything that I will do here, say for example that I'm going to move the dimensions a little bit down here. Okay, so if I move the dimensions, this is going to be reflected here. Okay, so everything that I do in the model space is going to be reflected in paper space. So that's how we are going to be printing also the other sheets. The first thing is that we got the kitchen floor plan with a proper scale. Again, if I click on the viewport and I see that I have 1 to 20 here, and I am happy with what I have, all I have to do is just click on the lock, and this means that whatever that I do is not zooming in or zooming out is not going to miss with the scale that I select. Okay, in the next video, we're going to talk about how to print the RCP. And instead of doing all of this again, we're going to actually take a copy of what we have here, what this layout here. We're going to rename it, and we're going to create another sheet and another title block and another viewport for the RCP.